Hello and welcome to my review of A Streetcar Named Desire. Now before I get into it, if you would like to see more reviews of classic movies like this one, go ahead and subscribe. And if you would like to request a movie that I should review, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let's get into it. Okay, Streetcar Named Desire, 1951. Marlon Brando, Vivian Leigh is in this. Kim Hunter, Carl Malden, yeah, and it's directed by Ilya Kazan. Yes. Um, Let me just give you a quick summary. This movie is pretty much about Vivian Leigh's character, who's kind of mentally unstable, and she comes to live with her sister and her sister's husband, played by Marlon Brando and Kim Hunter. Um, when I got down to the basics of this movie is all about desire, and it says that in the movie, in the title of the movie. So in this movie, Vivian Leigh's character, her name is Blanche. I will be referring to her as Blanche for the rest of this review. Blanche, she has a unquenchable desire to be loved and have the attention on her. And Marlon Brando's character, Stanley, and his wife, they desire each other. It's kind of, I know I'm saying desire a lot, but the movie says it a lot, and the movie is all about desire, and it tells you, it shows you, and it tells you. But this is more of a movie that tells you rather than shows you that the couple just desire each other, and Vivian Leigh or Blanche just desires to be, loved and to have attention. Carl Malden, whose name is Mitch in this movie, or the character's name is Mitch in this movie, he desires Blanche. I mean, as when we first see him and he first sees Blanche, it feels like he desires her from the very beginning, and even at the very end of the movie, when, spoiler alert, she gets taken by, I would assume, is a couple of shrinks. He desires her even then, and he pretty much tells Brando that he's wrong for sending her to an insane asylum, which I would have done. But this movie, the things I didn't like about this movie, one thing for me that I just didn't understand, and therefore I didn't like it, was that nobody believed Marlon Brando's character. He's the only person in this movie other than the sister at the very end, but he is pretty much the only person in this movie that caught on to Blanche's mental instability. And he was telling the other characters about her mental instability, and that she lies all the time, and that she wants attention and everything. But his wife, Blanche's sister, she doesn't want to believe it. And for me, it was like, I don't understand why she didn't at least think about it. And Mitch, I mean, Brando's character tells Mitch just that she's pretty much a runaround Sue. At least she was in the city that she was living in before this, and he just doesn't want to believe it. I mean, he loves her so much that he wants to marry her, and Brando tells him that. And one thing, and I just didn't understand why they didn't believe him, even though his character is all about telling the truth and being blunt and just saying what's on his mind. But that was pretty much like the main thing that I didn't like. One of the smaller things was that every time Blanche went kind of crazy, when she was going crazy, her crazy face was just kind of weird. She would just open her eyes very wide and then put up her right eyebrow, and it seemed like she could have done more to show that she was unstable at this time. And the things I liked, Brando, Brando and his wife. I love their relationship in that he's kind of a drunk and he's kind of a slob, but they desire each other so much that even after he hits her a couple times, and then right after he hits her, she goes upstairs because they live on the ground floor of this like two-story building, and some of their friends live in the upstairs, and she goes upstairs after he beats her, and then he kind of sobers up, and then he just goes outside and he starts yelling her name, Stella, and it was just like, wow, is she gonna come back to him? And she does, and it's crazy, but they explained it that they just have a like an unending desire for each other, and that's why she would stay with him through all this, through all the really terrible things that he does to her. And I love that, and they kind of mirror that with the people that are living upstairs. The husband that is living upstairs, he hits his wife and she runs away, but really, and like the next scene, they're walking back to their house, and he's saying, I only do that because I love you, more than everyone else. And I was like, wow. And she's coming back, and it's amazing that they mirror Brando, Stanley's, and Stella's relationship with the people that live upstairs. My favorite thing about this movie, my almost favorite thing about this movie, it started off being my favorite, was the soundtrack and the score, and it was so good because at the beginning, the score, I didn't realize this until later on, but the score was all in Blanche's head, and that was so cool. In that, like, she was the only person hearing the music, and she even addresses it in one later part when she's talking about her husband who had died. Um, she talks about it, and like after we hear like the echoes of a gunshot, the music stops, and then she talks about him again later on, and she says the music always stops after the gunshot, and it stops right there. And I was like, oh, okay, so the music is all in her head. And it was like, wow, that's so amazing. That's super original. But my favorite thing about this movie is Brando. Yes, this was his second movie, I believe, and he knocks it out of the park. I know my father told me that he did do the Broadway show of this or the Broadway version of this movie before the movie came out. And so it was like, yes, he had an absolute hold on this character, and it was just my favorite thing to see him as the polar opposite of Blanche, because Blanche pretty much always like lied and always was deceiving people, and Stanley Brando's character was the polar opposite in that he always told the truth. Always he always said what was on his mind. He just shot it straight. He was blunt. And yes, some of the other characters didn't like him or like that part of him, but I just love that he was the polar opposite of her. And what really put Blanche over the edge was him being that blunt, you know, like not uncaring, but unwavering person that would just say it like it is. And that's what put her over the edge. And that was my favorite thing about it. I love that. Now, for my score, or my verdict, actually, I was I was leaning towards skip this movie just because when I first saw it, I really didn't like Blanche as a character. I felt like she was one character that wasn't real, and I felt like all the other characters were real. But the more I thought about it, the more I talked about it with my family, um, I started liking this movie a lot more because of my favorite thing, which was Brando. I just think that he puts this movie at a over the edge as far as being in a very very good movie, and the score, like I said, was amazing, and I just loved how this movie felt very original in its storytelling and how it portrayed its characters and everything. And Like I said, at first I didn't, I thought I would say to skip it, but now I'm saying definitely watch it. It almost wavers on Blu-ray for me because just Brando is so amazing in this movie, and the other characters are so very well thought out. But it's not perfect, but I definitely say if you get the chance and if you would like to, definitely watch this movie. Pick it up on iTunes or Google Play or wherever you can and watch it. But just go into it knowing that it is more of a tell you rather than show you story. But it does the dialogue and everything very nice. Thank you for watching, and again, subscribe if you like this to see more reviews like this one. Comment down below on what you think of this movie if you've seen it, and if I give you the want to see this movie, definitely tell me that in the comments down below. Thank you for watching.